How soon can you take a pregnancy test? Most women think they know the answer until they are 10, 12 days post ovulation, testing, hoping, and getting a negative. But here's what no one is telling you. A negative test doesn't always mean what you think it means. And if you don't understand what's happening in your body during this window, you'll keep second guessing every single cycle. Do you long to get pregnant and trust your body again? Do you feel exhausted by the month after month cycle of hope and disappointment? Do you carry that creeping sense of failure? The fear that your body just isn't working the way that it should? If so, I'm so glad that you're here, my friend. Hi, I'm Mariana, a wife, mom, and a fertility care practitioner. After years of confusion and heartache, I learned how to understand my cycle with clarity and move towards pregnancy naturally by following a real system instead of guessing. This is Fertile Window Lab. If you're ready for real clarity about your cycle, a simple method that works, and less pressure from predictions, alarms, and fertility gymnastics, sit down the sticks, pop in your earbuds, and let's make sense of your fertility together.
I'm 9 days post-ovulation. When did you get your first positive? I'm 2 days late. Tested. It's negative. Anyone else in the 2-week wait? I'm really hoping this is my cycle.
If you ever thought something like this, these are the kind of message I read almost daily. And behind every single one of them is a woman that is trying to make sense of what her body is or isn't telling her. My story looked different. But walking alongside thousands of cycles, I have had front row seats to this one. The 2-week wait becomes this emotional battlefield. One moment you're thinking, I'm really hoping for the cycle. And the next moment, you're staring at a test thinking, I'm 10 days post-ovulation. I'm too scared to test. Or you test anyway. 8 days post-ovulation, negative this morning, and I'm really feeling discouraged. And then comes the spiral. Should I try a different test? Are digital tests less sensitive? When did everyone else get their first positive? I'm late, but it's negative. What does that even mean? I have walked through pregnancies where I didn't even realize I was pregnant until 11 weeks. No symptoms, no warning signs. Life just kept moving. And I have had cycles where I thought my period was starting only for it to disappear and reveal something completely different. Hello, implantation bleeding. And I have also had that moment, 10 days post-ovulation, testing, and seeing a clear positive, calling my doctor right away because I knew my body needed support. Same woman, same body, completely different experiences. And that's where I see so many women start to lose themselves because they're trying to make sense of something deeply complex using tools that were never designed to give them the full picture. So they start holding on to anything that feels like certainty. An app that says you ovulated, an LH test that turned positive, a symptom, sore breast, cramping, vivid dreams, and think maybe this is it. Or even advice like keep your hips elevated, as if positioning is the missing piece. And when those things don't lead to pregnancy, it's not just disappointment, it's confusion, self-doubt, and that quiet question that starts to creep in. What am I doing wrong? And over time, testing itself becomes heavy. I have worked with women on both ends of the spectrums, the ones that test early and often, holding their breath every single time, and the ones who say, I can't test anymore. I have seen that one line too many times because each negative test isn't just information. It feels like a loss. And what pains me the most, the longer that a woman stays in this cycle, hoping, guessing, Googling, second guessing her body without real answers, the deeper the suffering goes. Not because she's doing something wrong, but because she's been given fragments instead of clarity. It's like trying to navigate a long journey only with a weather app. You're checking constantly, is today the day? Are the conditions right? But no one ever handed you the actual map. So you keep moving, hoping you're getting closer, while quietly wondering, why it feels like you're going in circles. And this is where I want to gently challenge something, because a lot of the confusion that I see, it starts right here. Ovulation tracking doesn't equal clarity. If you are listening to this and thinking, I just want to understand what my body's doing and why this isn't happening yet, that's exactly what I offer in my Fertility Clarity Call. This is when you start connecting the dots so you can begin to recognize your body's signals, uncover what might be getting missed, and understand your next steps. You don't need to keep guessing through this. You can find the link in the show notes and use the code CLARITY for $50 off. Let me take you back when I first started tracking my own cycles. I remember thinking, okay, I just need to figure out when I ovulate. Simple enough, right? By the second month, I was already frustrated because my body didn't follow the normal rules I kept reading about. So I thought maybe I needed more data. And that's when I added temperature tracking. Every single morning, 6 a.m., thermometer in mouth, laying completely still so I wouldn't spike the reading. And what did I find? My temperature shift was minimal. It was easy to miss or misinterpret. Some days it looked like it ovulated, other days not so clear. So instead of feeling more confident, I felt more anxious, more confused, and my charts were all over the place. We've been taught that tracking ovulation gives us answers because, yes, tracking hormonal patterns can be helpful. But here's what's missing. Data without proper interpretation creates false confidence. And when someone tells me I'm 8 days post ovulation, my first question is always, how are you confirming ovulation? Because ALH strips, wearables, apps, they track signals, not confirmation. They can suggest that ovulation might happen, but they don't tell you clearly. Did ovulation actually occur? Was it strong enough? Is your body producing what it needs after? So I want you to start by shifting your goal. Instead of collecting more data, focus on interpreting the right data correctly. Because more tracking doesn't equal more clarity. It often creates more confusion. The second thing is implantation and testing. Timing matters more than urgency. So let's talk about the 2-week wait and testing, because this is where I see so much emotional suffering. Implantation typically happens about 7 to 9 days after ovulation. That fertilized egg is traveling, developing, and only after implantation does your body begin to produce the hormone pregnancy test detect. Because without implantation, there is no HCG, and even after implantation, it takes time for levels to rise enough to be detected. That's why you will hear, I'm 8 days post ovulation, negative. I'm discouraged. I'm 10 days post ovulation. I'm too scared to test. 10 days post ovulation. Digital test says I'm not pregnant. Now what? It's not just about if you are pregnant, it's whether your body has enough time to show it. And here's what most women are not told. HCG levels should double in early pregnancy. So one test, one moment, one line doesn't tell the full story. In my last pregnancy, we didn't rely on just a home test. We confirmed with blood work and repeated it multiple times to make sure levels were rising properly. That gave me clarity and removed the guesswork. If you suspect pregnancy or you are in that early window, ask for quantitative HCG blood tests. This is real data, and this is how you move from guessing to knowing what's actually happening. The third point I want to make is stress and delay ovulation. Now, this is a part that can feel triggering if it's not explained well, because you have probably heard, just relax and it will happen. And let's be honest, that feels like a slap in the face. That's not what I'm saying. Stress, both acute and chronic, could delay ovulation. And when ovulation is delayed, your period is delayed. So now you're in this confusing space. Wait, I'm not pregnant, but my period isn't here either. And that's because your body's always asking one question. Is it safe? And stress isn't just emotional, it's layered. It's mental load, busy demanding schedules, poor nutrition, lack of sleep, dehydration, the constant pressure to get it right. And on top of all that, you add the emotional weight of trying to conceive. So your body responds the only way that knows how. It pauses or delays ovulation, not because it's broken, but because it's protective. So with this, I want you to expand your definition of supporting fertility. It's not just about timing intercourse or catching ovulation. It's asking, Am I nourished? Am I rested? Am I constantly in a state of urgency? Because your body doesn't respond well to pressure. It responds to safety and stability. So let's bring a structure to this. You need to understand both the advantage and the limitations of the method you're using to track ovulation, because that's what sets your expectation. And when your expectations are off, everything that follows feels confusing. You might be ovulating every cycle. Your app might look perfect. Your ALH strips may be turning positive. But if your tubes are blocked, that's like driving a Tesla with a GPS, heated seats, everything working perfectly, and the road is closed. You're not going anywhere. So the issue isn't always whether you're ovulating, it's whether everything needed for pregnancy is actually working together. And this is what I'm very honest about my bias. A true fertility care system should not just collect data. It should interpret what your body is communicating, identify what's working and what's not, lead you towards answers and results. And if your current method is only giving you numbers, it's incomplete. I also want you to decide how will you walk through the wait. Now that you understand that implantation takes time and the testing early doesn't always give you the truth, you get to decide, how am I going to walk through these days? Because the 2-week wait can feel like an eternity. And this is where many women start to spiral. Because when there is no clear answers, your mind will try to fill the gaps. And usually it fills them with fear. So instead of agonizing through the way, be intentional. Do things that genuinely bring you joy. Process what you're feeling. Write it out. Don't bottle it in. Stay connected to your spouse. Don't let this journey isolate you. And yes, pray, not as a last resort, but as an anchor. Because this season can either pull you apart or deepen your bond. And that choice, more than you think, is still in your hands. The third thing I want you to do is be honest about your stress level. Stress is not just a feeling. It's a physiological signal. It can delay ovulation, which delays your period, which creates more confusion. So instead of diminishing stress, you need to measure it honestly. So how do we do this? I want you to quickly evaluate yourself. Not overthinking it, just awareness. On a scale 1 to 10, how heavy is my mental load right now? Am I constantly being pulled in multiple directions? Could my nutrition be better? Am I actually sleeping and waking up rested? Am I hydrated? Am I carrying guilt or shame because of this journey? Because all of this speaks to one thing, and your body responds accordingly. Here's a simple way to understand it. If your body's like a car and you're running low on fuel, overheating, and ignoring the warning lights, eventually the engine doesn't perform the way that it's designed to. Not because it's broken, but because it's not being supported. More than that, you want to know your body is ready to sustain the pregnancy that follows. You want to feel confident, not just staring at two lines and wondering, is this gonna last? You want to understand why it hasn't happened yet, or what your body has been trying to communicate, and what needs to shift so you can move forward with clarity. Right now, reality might feel like this. You're testing, questioning every symptom, relying on apps, strips, and guesswork, hoping each cycle is the one, but not fully understanding what's happening underneath. And that gap between hope and understanding, that's where frustration lives. And that's where anxiety builds. And that's where you start to feel like you're doing everything right and you're not going anywhere. And at some point, you have to decide, am I going to keep cycling through confusion, or am I ready for real clarity? And this is exactly the work that I do inside my fertility clarity call. We don't just look at whether you're ovulating or not. We begin to uncover how to recognize the signs your body is giving you, what your current patterns may be pointing to, and whether they're hidden factors that could be getting missed. Because sometimes it's not just about ovulation, and you deserve to know sooner rather than later. You will walk away with a clearer understanding of your cycle, insight into what your body is communicating, and the next steps that are tailored to you. No generic advice. If you're ready to stop guessing and start understanding what your body is actually communicating, you can book your fertility clarity call through the link in the show notes. And I want to support you if you're taking that first step. You can use the code CLARITY to receive $50 off your session. because this isn't just about getting answers. It's about finally feeling confident in the direction that you're going. You don't need more guesswork. You need to understand your body. Until next week, my friend, I hope to get to meet you soon. If you are listening to this and thinking, I just want to understand what my body's doing and why this isn't happening yet, that's exactly what I offer in my fertility clarity call. This is when you start connecting the dots so you can begin to recognize your body's signals, uncover what might be getting missed, and understand your next steps. You don't need to keep guessing through this. You can find the link in the show notes and use the code CLARITY for $50 off.
I'm my mama's little fertility helper. If this episode has helped you, or if you feel a little more hopeful, leave a review. She'll love it.
Hi, DTC Warrior. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, please leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. It truly helps to get this show into ears of more women who need it. And be sure to sign up for my weekly encouragement, tips, and insights straight to your inbox. I promise to keep it practical, hopeful, and faith-friendly. All right, I'm off to tacos, chocolate, and turn my cycle. I'll meet you back here next week. Bye.